Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show, sponsored by Indigo Communications. I'm Peter Martin, and we have Richard Foster and Tam McManus here with us on this Friday. Delighted that you could join us, and if you hit the subscribe button, you can join the football family here on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Hit the bell and you'll get all the notifications as well. And if you download our PLZ Soccer app, you get all the breaking football stories too. There's lots to discuss as it's a weekend of playoffs, cup finals and, well, league thrillers at top and bottom of the English Premier League as well. So, lots to get our teeth into. Of course, we start off with the sad occasion at Ibrox today because the kitman Jimmy Bell, his funeral cortege, was passing by Ibrox where thousands of Rangers fans wanted to pay their last respects. Our reporter Kerry Pollock was there.
It's an emotional day for Rangers Football Club. In just a few moments, Jimmy Bell's funeral cortege will pass by Ibrox for the final time. Jimmy passed away at the age of 69 at the beginning of May.
To the club, it meant everything. I've been brought up all my life supporting Rangers, and just Jimmy Bell was a legend.
Jimmy spent 40 years at the football club. In his early years he drove the team buses for players such as Alan McCoist, Ian Durrant and Derek Johnston before taking on the role of kitman that he had for 30 years.
I feel like he was a father to the club. He was an inspiration, I feel like, to the club. I feel like he's going to be a big loss to the club. He's going to be remembered today. I think all the fans will come out in their thousands just to celebrate his life and obviously celebrate him and himself. So.
Throughout the week of his passing, hundreds of football fans took to social media to share their sadness, as did many former and current Rangers players. To everyone involved with Rangers Football Club, Jimmy Bell was more than a kitman.
Well, that was a tough day for many Rangers players. It's been one of those hectic weeks. I know you were there in Seville. We'll get your thoughts on it as well, Richard. But today, players will be reflecting on a man that would have been in that dressing room for the entire season.
Yeah, it's a sad day. You see there with the fans what he meant to the club, what he meant to the fans, and the players the same. I had a very good relationship with Jimmy myself when I was there. It always made me feel welcome despite coming down from Aberdeen, and I think we heard, when he passed away, that he meant so much to so many of the players. You passed through his room to get into the dressing room, the training ground, and I think he just meant so much to all of them, and I think that'll possibly be part of their disappointment after Wednesday as well, that they couldn't bring home the trophy for him.
Yeah. Okay. As far as the event which you watched inside the stadium, Tam, you would have watched on as well. The one thing before we get your thoughts on the game is UEFA have apologised to the fans, because I was speaking to one of my pals today who came out to the studios, and he was saying that the whole situation with water, trying to get a drink anywhere inside that stadium was just chaotic. I mean, at one point he said they turned the taps off. And when people are drinking tap water as well, it's not the same kind of tap water that we are all used to here in the UK. No disrespect to Spain, but you just didn't know where it was coming from. And then eventually when it's turned off, that's difficult for fans. And that for me is a complete lack of organisation.
Yeah, I think it's totally unacceptable, particularly when you think about the money that the fans spent to go over there. A lot of them were selling their houses to try and get to the game, so for them to go there not have basic water is an absolute joke. A couple of my friends went to Seville in 2003 and they said it was the exact same. So talking about nearly 20 years on, they've not improved the infrastructure, UEFA, and the stadium as well. So the game for me should never have been played in that stadium anyway. It wasn't big enough. But then when you see some of the stories coming out from some of the Rangers supporters not getting bottles of water confiscated when they're going in, and then no water to drink when they're in there, and 30-35 degree heat. It's totally unacceptable.
Yeah, and it's not as if anybody from UEFA could suddenly come out and say, well, the conditions caught us by surprise. You absolutely know the score. This is 2022, Richard.
Yeah, and as you say, this weather is not a freak for Seville. This is what it's like every year. They know what they also knew couple of days in advance how many people were going. You know, there was talk of 100,000 Rangers fans, 50,000 Frankfurt fans. So they knew the amount of people that were there, and that's when you go, right, okay, let's just make sure, as Tam says, we have the one thing that everybody needs in this heat is water. And I mean, it was 31 degrees at kick-off, and it was stifling inside the stadium. There's no air at all, and it was, you know, and for the first, you know, maybe half an hour before the game kicked off, the fans were coming into the far side and they were still in the sun. So it would have been horrendous for them. And like you say, drinking tap water in Spain is not advised. But if that's all you had, but then to turn that off as well, it was just ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure there will be an inquest from Rangers towards UEFA with regards to the fans and how difficult that condition was inside the stadium. You know, what they do to rectify it. Hopefully lessons will be learned, but it doesn't help any of the supporters who had to go through all that. I think the most painful part of going through 120 minutes eventually is to the penalty kicks. We've watched it, we've analysed it on yesterday's show in great detail. You were there inside the stadium commentating. What did you make of it now you've had quite a bit of time to reflect on Rangers' performance?
I think that's, for me, if I had been part of that team, the biggest disappointment would be that they never gave it their best shot. I don't think they never got anywhere near the levels that they've been at before. And I know, I mean, the heat definitely played a factor for both sides. I don't think there was a great quality from either side, but I felt Frankfurt had the better of the match. I thought they should have had a penalty, and I was surprised when it went to VAR that they never got it. But yeah, I just think if you're a Rangers player yesterday, you're just thinking, I don't think we give it our best shot collectively. Yes, there was some individual performance. I thought Bassey was exceptional again, but it looked like either it was the occasion, the heat, or maybe a mixture of both got to a lot of the players, and they never really got themselves going. Got in front fortuitously, and then, you know, just really poor slack defending to let Frankfurt back in the game. And like I said, just if you're a fan watching that and your team play really well and get beat by luck or by a better side, there's nothing you can do there. But Rangers will be kicking themselves because Frankfurt were there for the beating.
Yeah, and of course the ultimate is you get down to penalty kicks, and some people say, oh, it's a lottery. I think it's less of a lottery these days with professionals and the way they are practising, Tam.
It didn't seem like a lottery to the Frankfurt players. I mean, every single one of their penalties was right in the corner, top corner, bottom corner, ruthless. Rangers, for me, their penalties were good as well. I don't like bringing somebody on with a couple of minutes to go to take a penalty kick, because one, you're no in the rhythm of the game, you're no warmed up properly. You can go and you can jog about the side. I was a sub plenty of times in my career, and you can go and you can jog about, but you're not ready to come. It takes you 5-10 minutes, 15 minutes even to get your legs right. This is the pace of the game.
Especially when you've missed games through injury recently as well.
Yep, and he's just come on, he's not warmed up properly, he's not taking a penalty. I'd have kept Sakala. Sakala wasn't great when he came on, but he's a striker. Strikers traditionally should be putting penalties away. Something they would probably practice all the time. I just didn't think that was the right call, but I totally agree with everything Richard said there. I just don't think Rangers on the night, played to their potential. I thought it was quite a poor final, to be honest, quality-wise. And if Rangers had played the way they'd played against Leipzig or Dortmund, a team, I think they would have won the game. But they just, I said it in the show just before, I think I said it in the show on Tuesday or Wednesday before the game. I think it's going to be a tight game, but whoever handles the occasion better will win the game, and I thought Frankfurt done that, particularly in the penalties. Yeah,
of course, Rob Page, the Wales boss, had a bit to say on Aaron Ramsey coming on and ultimately missing the crucial penalty that cost Rangers the UEFA Cup. This is what he had to say on his player, who has to try and get over that.
They put themselves up there. I'm so proud of him for putting himself up there. He's a world-class footballer. He had the courage and conviction to take a penalty. I think Rangers have been outstanding. To get where they did has been a massive achievement for them. I think they should be really, really proud of them as a club for what they've done. But like I said, top players recover from that, no problem. And I have no doubt whatsoever, if they come to penalties, of him taking one.
Yeah, let's hope he, if he is taking a penalty for Wales against Scotland, that I think I speak for the whole nation. Let's hope he makes an arse of it.
100%. Sam just saying it there. You couldn't get a bet on him scoring the winner, could you? I mean, that would be ridiculous. But no, I mean, it's Europa League final. You've put your name down to take a penalty. I mean, he's got it on target. The goalkeeper saved it. I don't think it was a particularly good penalty. I think he made it quite easy for the goalkeeper. But
apart from Tavernier's, goes straight down the middle, Tavernier. But Tavernier's a good penalty taker, and probably was looking and thinking, well, I've scored the most penalties in the country. That keeper will have watched everything that I've done. Top left postie stamp, top right, and he thought to himself, I'll go down the middle. But the rest of the players, every player, including the Rangers players, apart from Ramsey, into the corners.
Oh yeah, the standard was phenomenal. I think, and it just seemed to get better and better as it went on. I think was it Steve Davis put one in off the post, and Kamada put one off the post. But the final penalty for Boda, it was
penalty.
Just Bora, sorry. To win the Europa League, and he smashes it right in the top corner.
Yeah,
fantastic. But yeah, these guys have practiced these probably every round, in the knockout stages, because they know that at some point they might go to penalties. But I think Ramsey's, if you go down the middle, you've got to try and make it look like you're going to the side so the goalie dives, but he just hits it really hard straight. So the goalie obviously starts to dive and then realises, I don't need to go anywhere because it's right here, I can save it.
Yeah.
But he had the guts to step up and take one. Unfortunately for Rangers, he missed it.
Yeah, absolutely agonising. And if anything that history tells you from the 2008 Rangers side and many players that I've spoken to from the 2003 Celtic side as well, Tam, it's painful. They won't want to watch it. They won't maybe have the same nostalgic look at the journey all the way through to Seville, because they'll view it as the cup has been lost. We lost the cup, and that's painful. Sometimes even managers don't watch these type of things.
Particularly when you come so close to winning it. Penalty kicks is the closest you can get. You're a couple of kicks away from picking up the trophy, and it's something that these players will never forget. Ryan Kent, for instance, will never forget that miss.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a lot wrong. He gets it on target. It's a great save of the goalkeeper, but if that goes in, Rangers win the cup.
At that point, I think he's done too much right. He hit it. He hits it well.
He's got to go high, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Because the goalie's all out and he's diving over. If you just lift that, I mean, we need to show him Copenhagen coming in at the back post and sticking it in the net.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, don't try and tell him now. I don't think he'll be in the mood. Anything that, with that defeat, I think that the biggest thing now is right off the back of it, you suddenly have a group of players who have to somehow just put it to the back of their mind for one last effort.
Yeah, I mean, huge game Saturday, but even if they won it, it's probably still going to be a bit of a damp squib, isn't it? Because of Wednesday night, because it's so fresh in your memory, and that's no disrespect for the Scottish Cup. I was never lucky enough to win it, but it's it's our flagship trophy, and the game that you always want to play in domestically is the Scottish Cup final. But that'll be dampened down somewhat because of where Rangers were in the week, but. If they then don't perform on Saturday and they lose that competition, they then finish the season having won nothing. And you actually, like you say, when the dust settles and you look back and you go, right, you had a great run in Europe, but what have you won? Celtic would have won the double, Hearts would have won the cup. So for me, Rangers have to win the game. If they want to kind of come out of this season with any positivity, I think they've got to go and win the cup.
Yeah, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst faces the difficult task as a manager of trying to lift those players.
We are hurt and disappointed, but we have to. We did it a couple of times to play after just a short recovery. Again, 2 days. We had the biggest game of the year tonight, but Saturday we have to play already. We're flying back tomorrow. We have only 1 day prepare. It will not be easy, but we will do it. We will be ready for Saturday and end the season with a trophy.
Well, he's got decisions to make on certain players who will play in it. There's two questions before we started the show I was wondering, and I think the general feeling now is that John McLaughlin, who's been the ever-present in goal, will get the nod in goal, and you just wait and wonder whether Alan McGregor's going to call time in his career.
Yeah, listen, it would have been a glorious end to Alan's career if they won on the other night, if they'd saved a penalty. It was all set up for him, to go out with in a blaze of glory. But I think McLaughlin will play, and that could probably be the end for Alan McGregor, who's had a wonderful career. But again, he'll be thinking, could I saved a penalty, could I got something? He'll be thinking that as well. But I think Rangers will be too strong for Hearts. I think that Rangers can make changes. The goalkeeper can come in. I think Balogun can come in. Davis, Arfield, Alex Lowry. So they've got plenty of options to bring in Rangers to freshen the squad up, and I think they've got a deep squad. So I think they were disappointed, but I still think they've got enough to beat Hearts.
Yeah, well, if the Rangers fans outnumbered Eintracht Frankfurt's fans inside the stadium, certainly when you walk back with the UEFA trophy to Frankfurt, there was thousands of fans out there celebrating the German side winning the European trophy. Now James Tavernier has a chance to lift the Scottish Cup. He's probably not thinking about the fact that he could have been lifting the Europa League had just certain moments, those sliding doors moments, gone his way. But ultimately, the Rangers captain now has to try and rally round his teammates to try and get a good end to the season with a Scottish Cup win.
It's a massive game, we take every game as a massive game, no matter who we're playing. And it's essential that we've got to pick up that trophy and get silverware, because that's what this club's built on. We'll go towards the end and we'll give it our absolute everything to pick up the trophy.
Got a lot of people saying that was probably James Tavernier's poorest game of the season.
Yeah, but I don't think you can have a go at him. He's driven Rangers on, he's pulled Rangers through in most of those European ties. He's the right back and he finishes top goal scorer in the league in the competition. So I think he's maybe allowed a little bit of a blip, and also he was playing against a fantastic player, I thought. No kind of. He's played at such a high level for the course of the season. He was always going to have a poorer game, and I don't think it was just him having a poorer game. I thought the guy he played against was one of the better players on the pitch.
Yeah, Kostic was tipped beforehand as the big question was, will Tavernier be going that way, forward and putting Kostic on the back foot? In the end, it turned out to be the other way, because this guy, boy, could he cross a ball into a dangerous area.
Yeah, and I think because on the other side, Rangers kind of almost went a bit lopsided. They allowed Kent to stay higher. In the early part of the game, Barisic was getting caught 2v1. So then, because they had that overload on the left side, Tavernier was obviously just naturally staying back anyway, which allowed Kostic to play a bit higher on the pitch. But he was a good player, and I don't think Tavernier struggled against him. He wasn't as influential as he has been previously. But here and there, they want to win silverware. They want to win that cup. But I'd slightly disagree with Tam. I think they'll be too dejected to try to pick themselves up for this final.
Yeah.
I really do. Yeah, just seeing them after the game and seeing the fans and how dejected they were as we left the stadium. It's going to take a monumental effort to get them up to match tempo and in the right mindset. And if I think Hearts looking at that, they must just be thinking, let's go and kind of bombard them the first 20 minutes and see what happens, because I think that could be the key in the early part of the game.
Yeah, well, Robbie Neilson knows that if they win the cup, suddenly that great season of finishing third becomes even better.
It's been a good season. It's a chance to be a great season. I think that there's been a lot of teams over the years at Hearts who have finished third, qualified for Europe, got to cup finals. There's very few that have actually went on and won it. So we've got an opportunity now to go and do it. And what an opportunity it is.
Yeah, it's a huge opportunity, and a word of compliment for Robbie Neilson. I mean, at the start of the season, some people were thinking he could be one of those managers. You were looking at the odds of the top 2 or 3 managers that were going to get the sack, but he's absolutely galvanised and just flourished with Hearts as the manager.
Yeah, they started well. I think that was really important for Robbie. I think the tail end of last season, even though they won the championship, there was a lot of discontent, I think, among the supporters. Brora Rangers, for example, getting put away with them in the cup. So I think he was under a wee bit of pressure. They started well. They've recruited really well. Joe Savage coming in has been a big bonus for them. Benningham in the middle of the park, Sims up front. They've Kingsley. They've brought in good players, and I think that they're going to go into this game, with a big opportunity to win the cup. Third in the league. That I don't think they've kicked a ball in the top 6. I think that all the eggs have been in this basket. But I think it's difficult just to go and turn that on, because Hearts were playing well, and then they got into the Scottish Cup final. And I think they've thought to themselves, right, we've got these 5 fixtures to go. We're not really bothered about them, just looking ahead to the final. And I think it's difficult just to turn the switch on to go back to your peak performance after you've been off it for a number of weeks.
Well, interestingly enough, there are key players. He's mentioned the recruitment, which I think has been first class for them. They've certainly been able to step up to the plate, and he's also been able to use a strong bench. But the players that I think I've been most impressed with, Craig Gordon has been a standout. I thought Suter was good when he was fit, because boy, he can ping a 40-yard diagonal. And then for me, I know he doesn't get a lot of praise, but Andy Halliday, and of course in the middle of the park,
Haring.
He's completely and utterly escaped me his name.
I know who you mean. It doesn't help people watching, but I know who you mean. I just got
the former Rangers player, hit Barry Mackay. God forgive me. Forgive me, Barry Mackay and his family. Barry Mackay for me has been, one of those players that can do something a wee bit different as well.
Barry's been excellent. I think he just seems to, every game he seems to get stronger. He kind of, he was a young boy at Rangers, he was a flying winger. He put loads of skill, loads of pace. Obviously, as wingers tend to be, a little bit inconsistent, didn't really know what he was doing. But he seems to have really found himself on this Hearts side. They kind of, if you watch anything they do in a positive sense, goes through him. He's involved in everything going forward, whether it's him carrying the ball, passing the ball, crossing from a wider area, beating a man. And I think he's just, having the guys that you mentioned, Haring, Halliday, behind him, gives him that freedom to go and play, and I think he's really flourished in the role that they've got him playing in. And like you say, I think he's been one of the players. He's certainly been one of the players of Hearts season, but across the board in Scottish football, I think. Yeah,
and also Stephen Boyle says on our feed here, Kingsley's been great as well.
Yeah, I mentioned Kingsley, tremendous. His free kicks, some of the goals he scored. The goal against Hibs in the semi-finals, unbelievable. So I think Rangers will be wary of giving anything away around about the edge of the box for him to hit. You can hit them from a dead ball, or they can come up with something like they've done against Hibs. What a lovely little free kick, knocked back to him and put in the top corner. So he's an excellent player. They've got a really strong spine in the team. Boyce, I think, will probably be fit, and they'll go with Boyce and Sims, and they'll cause Rangers problems. That's why I think Balogun might come into the team, and they might move Bassey out to left back. So we'll have to wait and see who's available for Rangers. But I think Rangers will they'll freshen it up. They'll make 3 or 4 changes.
Yeah. As far as match winners, dare I say it, couldn't go to penalties again, could it? You're looking at the goalkeepers who are in there. John McLaughlin. It would be Craig Gordon. Craig Gordon's won a fair few trophies: 5 Premier Leagues, 3 Scottish Cups, 1 with Hearts, of course, in 2006, and 5 League Cups. But even as he was part of that invincible treble side, as Hearts captain, this could top the lot for him.
Personally, I don't think it gets much better than being that captain for any team to go up and lift that trophy. I've had some special times at Hampden. Probably the best one would have been the Invincible treble final. But to actually be that person that goes and picks up the cup in front of the fans, I think that could top it all.
Especially if you're a fan, Tam. That's the ultimate, isn't it?
Yeah, listen, he obviously is a Hearts supporter, and he came through the ranks at Hearts as a young boy and went back to his club after having a great career and then a lot of money. So I think it would mean a lot to him to go and win the cup. As I said, Rangers and Celtic are expected to win everything every year. So when you win it with a Hearts or a Hibs or an Aberdeen or something like that, it's a little bit more special, I think, than winning it with the Old Firm.
Yeah, difficult one for you to pick here, Tam, because obviously I'm looking at the bookies odds. Your wife will be literally recording your every word here. Rangers 7-4, Hearts 17-4, and the draw at the end of the 90 minutes almost 3-1, 10-3.
Yeah, I fancy Rangers. I think Rangers will win the cup. I wasn't really impressed with Hearts in the semi-final. They scored 2 great goals, but I thought Hibs were the better team.
Yeah.
Counts for nothing, Hearts won, but I think that Rangers will edge it. I think if Rangers can get the early goal and get the fans behind them again, get them still buzzing again, I think they'll win the game comfortably.
Yep, comfortably?
Yeah, I think 2-0 to Rangers.
Yeah, you love comfortable 2-0, don't you?
Ruffy.
Now that you've had Ruffy in your camp.
2-0's overly comfortable.
Oh, listen,
that's to Ruffy.
It is to Ruffy. He's got a gauge on it. There's a tight 2-0 and then there's a really comfortable 2-0. And from your point of view, Richard?
Like I say, I think Rangers might struggle. I know they'll make changes, but I just think the whole emotion involved Wednesday night will really take its toll, and I think they'll struggle to get to kind of top form. And I can see Hearts winning at 2-1.
Well, Peter, the other day I did say that James Tavernier was one of the best fullbacks in Europe. He had a nightmare. He had a poor game against Frankfurt, and after his Rangers would win the trophy. So get your money on Hearts.
Yeah, absolutely. The funny thing about I'm going to go Rangers 1-0 in a tight game. But the funny thing is, I remember you saying that, and with every word that comes out of your mouth, there was a guy who sent us an email. He says regarding, and it was so funny. He says regarding Tam. I'm not going to read it out because it's only an hour show. He says regarding Tam's quote of James Tavernier being the best fullback in Europe. He then cited about 19 fullbacks who are all playing in the strongest 5 leagues in Europe. So you've got to be careful if you put it out there.
One off.
You need to back
The
it.
top 100.
Yeah, I think he's in the top.
To be fair, Tab, I don't know if this trumps you or not, but remember I said on his day, Aaron Ramsey's the best player in Scotland.
Yeah, yeah. Don't worry.
That turned out not bad.
Don't worry. There's been a few pundits who've gone over the top on Aaron Ramsey, and just on that point, I mean, we haven't had the chance to ask you about it before we move on to other big games that are coming up, but. Aaron Ramsey, Ruffy said, a very pertinent point. He wasn't brought to Rangers to win the Scottish Cup. He was brought there to, Rangers retain the league, that significant signing in January, and then, of course, over and above that, to get them really far in Europe. Certainly not to the point of saying, we want you to get us to the final. But he was a top drawer player. He's on a lot of money, and he's played in the top flight. How would you assess Aaron Ramsey? Success, failure, indifferent?
I think he's been a failure. I think with the money he's on, the money it's cost, I don't think he's done anywhere near enough. Came in with a high pedigree, and we all know that he in his career he's been a fantastic football player. The clubs he's played for, fantastic player for Wales also, but he's got nowhere near that. He's not fit. I don't know what the injury is, but he just doesn't seem to be able to shake it off. He doesn't look like he's moving very comfortably, even in the games he does play. You can tell he's a clever football player, and he's got good touches and good passing awareness. But like I said, we were laughing there. I said he's on paper like the best player in Scotland if he performs, but he's been so far away from that he's not even the best player at Rangers, not by a long shot this season. Which is, for someone like him coming in, he should be one of the best players in Scotland because of the pedigree he's got. But whether it's a fitness thing or whether it's his legs have gone a bit, I mean he's not that old. I don't know. It hasn't seemed to worked out for him, and he's not really played as big a part as he probably thought he would play, and a lot of the Rangers fans thought he would play. And like I say, so I think we'll all consider. I think he's got to be classed as a bit of a failure, to be honest.
Yeah. Tam, would you disagree with it?
I wouldn't really disagree with that. I think that the problem, the issue with Aaron Ramsey is he didn't play a lot of football at Juventus. He was sitting on the bench. He seemed to just play for Wales. I think it's similar to the Gareth Bale. I think both of them just used to turn up and play for Wales if having no playing for their clubs. So I think he's on a lot of money as his hunger on the wane a little bit. He's got a lot of money. I think his legs have went a little bit. I think a peak Ramsey, at 24, 25 years old, we ripped it up in this league. But I just think the injuries have taken their toll. He's lost that wee yard to get away from people, and it's been a bit of a disappointment for Rangers because I think he is a quality player, but I don't think he's quite at his peak, and he's probably on the way down. But I still think he's a very good player. But as you said, he was brought into Rangers to win the league, and they haven't done that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, you can give us your thoughts on Aaron Ramsey if you're a Rangers fan. Thank you to so many people who obviously have been hitting the subscribe button on our show now that we are exclusively on YouTube. It's been an absolutely fantastic ride of just welcoming so many people, thousands of people downloading our podcast as well as the app. But on YouTube, we've got lots of followers now just embracing the show, some finding it for the first time, and many people enjoying the pundits who will give you an opinion. We'll have a bit of banter here and there as well, and we've got managers and players interviews 5 days a week. There are many that I can think of out with radio shows that are on 5 days a week, bringing you football chat on YouTube about Scottish football and beyond. So we're delighted that you have shown us your support, and hopefully as we grow bigger and better for the new season, you'll be with us. Fingers crossed. Tam, we've been analysing our squad. You just never know if he's there, if he's fit, if he's available.
He might not be in this country. We spoke about it before the show. He might be in another country.
Yeah.
So
you've really got
he can maybe do it on Zoom.
Yeah. We're calling Ruffy. We've got lots of nicknames for Ruffy.
He's patched me from one of my jobs anyway.
Well,
so
I was going to say we're calling Ruffy the Rat. And we've had that name for a few people on this show. But nevertheless, what's your options?
Well, nothing concrete at the moment. I've had a couple of inquiries from teams, kind of below the level I was at last season, and then I know a couple of people in the game who I'm going to go and meet in the next week. I'm not going to tell you the name, but so I don't know. I want to try and play on if possible. Last week when I was on, Tam was doing his best to get to kind of flog me and get me a club. Ruffy was having none of it, of course, because he just pied me off. But yeah, I still want to play on, whether that's in Scotland or possibly somewhere else, I don't know. But I still feel I've got the legs to play, certainly the Championship level in Scotland. But you know, I realise that I'm a very tough sell because I'm going to be 37 in the summer. And even though I can, you know, back up my performances with stats and that are comparable to the younger guys, you know, it's that's kind of glossed over a lot of time. But I'll just have to wait and see. I'm in no rush to make a decision, which is, I'm kind of in a fortunate place in that sense. So I'll just kind of enjoy my summer and see where I go from there.
Yeah, but you're open to staying here and the possibility of moving elsewhere.
Yeah, I'm at this point. I'm open. I'm open to most things, because, like I say, I want to prolong my playing career as long as possible. So, you know, any option that comes up that'll allow me to do that is something I will consider.
Yeah, a nice message here. Hope Richard plays on, still looks fit, age is just a number. And that's from Stephen. Thanks for that, Stephen. I think a lot of people will look and think, managers will be thinking to themselves, well, he's available, could you do a job for us? We will find out. Could you do a job for us, Tam? Of course, we've enjoyed having him this season. I think
he's been good.
He's cranked up never mind the chat and the opinion, he's cranked it up with the fashion stakes as well, hasn't he?
He has. His gear's incredible.
Yeah.
So, as I said, I get the free gear and he gets a free gear. I think basically the truth is, free gear's probably a little bit more dear than mine.
Yeah, absolutely. Since you come on board, by the way, I mean, in the early years he was like a Bond villain, but now since you're here, suddenly he's started to turn back time. You know,
no, because Barry Ferguson was on before it, and he liked his gear.
Oh, he liked his gear as well. Yeah, he's, you know, the old Balenciagas. You know, we didn't even know. I didn't even know what Balenciagas were.
I thought it was a Spanish striker.
Exactly. Suddenly 600 quid for a pair of trainers. Really? Anyway, we wish you well in whatever you decide to do. If you're still in this country, we would be more than happy to have you as part of the team. We're really looking forward to it. Enjoyed your crack. I'm saying that as if we're waving goodbye to you. But thankfully Ruffy doesn't make the decisions, Richard, or you'd be right out that door right now. Anyway, apart from anything else, from the Scottish Cup final, tell us who you think's going to win. Is there a key player there? John McLaughlin looks as if he's getting the nod in goal. Give us your thoughts on that. Could be a farewell for a number of Rangers players. It might be one of those situations where you're waving goodbye to players who played in that UEFA Cup final. Will they be holding the Scottish Cup aloft? Will it be a last chance to say goodbye to the Rangers fans for a number of players? And what about the Hearts players? Are there winners in your team that you think can make themselves legends by delivering the Scottish Cup on the final day of the season for the major clubs in the Scottish Premiership? What about the playoffs? We've got St Johnstone, who won the double last year. You still pinch yourself when you say it. St Johnstone won the double, and now they're fighting for their lives. Tonight's the first leg of the playoff up at Inverness at the Tulloch Stadium. What a battle this is going to be. The odds at the moment, 8-5 Saints to win, Inverness 2-1, the draw 9-5.
Yeah, it's going to be. I think it's going to be a real tough game for both teams. I think Inverness, it's depending on how well they can patch a side together. Obviously, the 4 games up until now have taken their toll. You know that we played them, and obviously we should have beat them, but couldn't score.
Yeah.
But no,
you battered them that night.
They were worthy winners against us, and I thought they were, you know, incredible that they came through the game at Arbroath, going down to 9 men. The red card decisions, I'm sure you have discussed them and tried to understand them the best you can. But yeah, fantastic achievement to get there. And they've got St Johnstone, who they're in a bit of another sticky patch, aren't they? Their form has improved, and then they played St Mirren, and I thought, you know, this is the chance to drag St Mirren back into it. And they never turned up that day. And then obviously the last game of the season there, they were hammered comfortably. So they're not in a good place right now, but they need to kind of look at this as if they're playing a Scottish Cup final again and go, right, we need to win over these 2 legs to maintain our Premiership status, because if the double cup winners are to get relegated the season after, it would be ridiculous. But you know, Inverness are good enough to beat them, so St Johnstone are going to have to be on form to get through the 2 ties.
Yeah, Callum Davis looking for his players to step up to the plate.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's, you know, where we are in the league, it's a chance for us to stay in the Premier League. That's basically what it is. It's a game of football. You've got to go out there with enthusiasm, passion, and a little bit of courage and belief in yourself, and go and try and win the games. There's going to be really tough games up there at Inverness, and then we're obviously getting back here on Monday night. So it's going to be two really tough ties. Inverness have been very good this season, so we've got to be our best to get the victory, but we're all desperate to do it.
Yeah, all the players will have to just summon up the energies. I mean, how difficult is it to turn it off and turn it on?
It's really difficult. That's why I'm worried about Hearts going into the Scottish Cup final. I think they've been off it for a number of weeks, but I didn't realise that there was a full week between the last game in the playoffs until this game. So I give Inverness a little bit more of a chance than I did. I thought it was going to be Friday, Tuesday.
I think this is the first year it's been like that.
Yeah, it's usually like that, 'cause I was surprised at that. So I thought St Johnstone were strong favourites. Now I'm kind of going towards Inverness a little bit, but as Richard says, they've got a lot of injuries, they've got suspensions to deal with. Can they put a strong enough team out, over the two legs? I think St Johnstone have got better depth in their squad, but I think it's going to be a real tough tie to call, because I think Inverness have got a great spirit about them. I've watched every game in the playoffs. They don't really concede a lot of goals. They're solid at the back, big Broadfoot at the back there with D's and guys like that. They're strong. Goalkeeper's good. So I think it's going to be really tight. I don't think there's going to be many goals in either tie. No. I think it could be 0-0s and 1-0s here or there, tight games, but I still think St Johnstone will just edge it and stay up.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with St Johnstone on this, Richard.
Yeah, I still think St Johnstone will be too strong for all the reasons we've discussed. I think the 5th and 6th game for Inverness is just maybe going to be a stretch too far. Yeah.
What about next season, Tam? For the Hibbies, it looks as if we have the blueprint for how Hibs are going to play next season now.
Yeah, Lee Johnson's come in and listen, he speaks well. He spoke well yesterday in his interview. It seems to be that he's going to have a bigger hand in recruitment than the last manager. I think Ron spoke yesterday about possibly making mistakes in the past, i.e. sacking Jack Ross, which was a big mistake. So I think he's going to give this guy, he's got to give him time. You can't just keep firing managers after 6 months or the first bad run they're on. He's got to give Lee Johnson a year. He's got to back him in the transfer market, which I think he will. But that squad needs heavily, reinforcements, because there's 10 or 12 of them in there that are not good enough for Hibs if they want to go and compete with Hearts for third next season. So he needs to bring in, for me, I think Hibs need to bring in 10 or 12 players, and I think they need to let the same go out the door.
Well, that's a big call, isn't it?
Yeah, and you've got to say fair play to the chairman if he has, he spoke about his possibly making mistakes, and fair play to him if he has then thought, well, we need to kind of change what we're doing a little bit, because that's kind of, I suppose, how you grow and how you learn is by reacting to your mistakes. But Lee Johnson's he'll be a good manager. I worked on briefly when he's a player, knows the game, understands the game, has got like to get on the ball and pass the ball. I would imagine his managerial style is very similar. Had a couple of awkward results when he was Sunderland manager right before he lost his job, but I think they'd done okay otherwise. But yeah, it'd just be interesting to see what the turnaround's going to be. But even then, having said that, if there is as big a turnaround as Tam expects, that takes time. It takes time to get those players gelling together, mould them into the team that you want them to be. So it'll be interesting for him. But I think he will. I think this time this manager will get time. I don't think it will be a case of in the first month of if they've not won any games that he's under pressure. I do believe they'll say, right, well, good or bad, we're going to stick with this guy for a season and see where it takes us. And I think that's the least that any manager should get. I think, especially because then you've got your 2 transfer windows. You've got an opportunity to mould the team as you like. But I don't think it will be a case of he must start the season really well, otherwise he's under pressure. I think he will get the full season.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see if he does. He certainly has highlighted to the Hibs supporters the style of football that he's going to adopt.
The main thing is always getting a support base that feels attached and can identify with a performance. And I think I want the fan base to really be a part of the performance, and I think that's absolutely key for me. Like, can we have such a clear identity? Can we have a clarity in the way we play that they can start to recognise key factors in games and therefore get behind us and support us?
Well, they get behind you if you win games. It's as simple as that. Notice Kevin Nisbet back training.
Yeah, I seen him in the last game of the season. He was walking up and down this, with no aids or anything like that. It looks as if he was moving well. So that'd be a big boost if he can get Kevin back for the start of the season. He never had a great season last year, but I don't think anybody in Hibs jersey had a good season, and he can easily get dragged down with the rest of them. So, still think he's a quality player, and he'll be a big striker for Hibs next season.
Yeah, this is the time of the season where not only players have uncertainty, but some managers lose their job. Clubs have to look for a new manager. Dundee are still in that process. 5 candidates so far that John Nelms and the team in Gordon Strachan have to sift through. Kevin Thompson seems to be a favourite. Sean Maloney's name's been mentioned. Gavin Strachan I've heard as well. I think a few people would be absolutely gobsmacked if that actually transpired. But
I don't think you can give the job to your mate and then your son.
Yeah,
consecutively.
It would look a bit dodgy, to say the least. But they have to get this one right, and then Gordon's got the job of trying to make sure that they get the players that the manager wants. Does it need to have a wee bit of experience like a Kevin Thompson? Is that something that he could make that step up?
Yeah, when I was more comfortable when Kevin Thompson was linked with the Wraith job. I thought that was more of a natural progression from Kelty. I think the Dundee job is a bigger job, but that's not to say that he's not ready. They had a decent budget at Kelty, but he had a good team and they played a lot of good football. So I'm sure if he's one of the candidates and he knows the game very well, he speaks very well about the game. Like I say, his team play a nice style of football when you watch them or play against them. So he's in there with a shout, and it's interesting because they went with the younger manager James McPake. They then saw fit to sack him just at the point where they were actually getting some results. Then Mark McGee came in and it's never worked at all. He's an older manager, and he was suggesting that his replacement should be someone who's younger with a lot of energy. But I think they would go with Kevin Thompson over someone like Gavin Strachan, with all respect, because he has managed before. Yeah. But whoever gets the job, it's a fantastic opportunity because Dundee should be in the top league in Scotland, and they've got now. Yes, they're now expected to win the championship, but they've got a chance to kind of try to build something to get themselves back into the Premiership. And it depends what the plan. You might, a new manager might come in and the remit might be you need to get promoted straight away. It might be, right, we're comfortable maybe taking 2 or 3 seasons to build somewhere. Because you look at, we talked about Robbie Neilson, his remit was get Hearts back in the Premier League, which he done. Never played attractive football, but it was effective to win the league. And some Hearts fans weren't happy. And look where they've gone now, because he does know how to manage a team to play well, but he also realises that sometimes you've just got to get the job done. So you don't know what the remit will be. I would suggest that would be what it is for Dundee. Get us back up as quick as possible, and then see where we go from there.
Yeah, who knows what the future holds for Charlie. I think in the Championship I'd give him another year and let him go out as a Dundee player who got them back. He's the type of player that would absolutely cruise that division.
I think it's all dependent on the manager. I think it's all okay for us to speculate about Charlie. We know he's still got a quality player, but a new manager might come in, whether we don't know who it's going to be. They might want to go younger, they might want to go legs, high intensity and go and get after teams, or it might be a manager who sees a role for Charlie. Maybe he's a sitting midfield player or a sweeper or something like that, I don't know. But I think it's all going to depend. I don't think any decisions have been made at Dundee until they appoint a new manager, and I think they're in the process of interviewing 5 people at the minute. And I think you'll find in the next fortnight that there'll be a new manager, and then the decision will be made on Charlie.
Yeah, other clubs have been releasing day by day the list of players who will be heading out of their club. Livingston have offered contracts to Alan Forrest and to Jack Hamilton. Whether they take them or not is another matter, because when they're out of contract, the ball's in their court. And Alan Forrest, for me, is someone that I think a number of Premiership clubs in Scotland might look at and think he could do a job.
Oh yeah, he's had a fantastic season. I think the ball's in his court because he's had a good season. If you're out of contract and you've not had a good season, there's no balls in the court at all. You can't even get in the gate. But I think he's had a fantastic season. I think finishing off there with the goal he scores, he cuts inside, whips in with his left foot. He's got pace, he's direct, he's got composure, scores goals. I'd heard earlier in the season that Hearts were maybe interested, but he is definitely a player that I was going to say most of the teams in the top 6, but most of the teams that should be in the top 6 were in the bottom 6. So, a few of the bigger sides, your Hearts, possibly your Hibs, Aberdeen, like that. He's certainly a player I think can go to the 3rd, 4th, 5th best teams in the league and go there and play in the team. So it'll be an interesting summer. And I would imagine you'll have a few suitors.
Yeah, and a couple other players that caught my eye who'll be leaving at Livingston that I think some managers will think, "Oof, I'm going to have a quick chat with him." Craig Sibbald has always been a great lad. I like him as a player. Keegan Jacobs got so much experience.
Yeah, Sibbald, I can remember. I was at Falkirk when he made his debut at Falkirk. Young boy came in. I remember Stephen Presley was the manager at the time, and he was having to play all the young boys because they had no money. They played him. They played Kingsley was there. Jay Fulton ended up at Swansea. They all played.
Yeah.
And he was a cracking little player. The only thing I think that's maybe stopped him going to the high level is a wee bit of pace, a yard of pace. But he's got great ability.
Yeah.
He can play in that wee 10 role. He can get in, and I don't think he maybe suits Livingston's style of play, but. I'd maybe like to see him back at Falkirk. I think Falkirk would be interested in him. I think that's where he came through, and I think he'd be a great signing for somebody like Falkirk, if not, a team in the Championship.
Yeah, no surprise your old buddy stepped away at Dunfermline, John Hughes. Was he critical of himself? I know John's a hard taskmaster. He was desperately trying to save Dunfermline.
Yeah, I'm disappointed for him. Obviously, I know Yogi well. I played with him, played under him. He's a pal of mine, but I think it was difficult for him to survive Dunfermline getting relegated. I think that they're a big club. I played with Dunfermline. They should never be in League One. They should be pushing to get into the Premier League. They're that big a club, so I think he was always going to struggle to survive that. It's just been a disaster for Dunfermline. From Peter Grant at the start to Yogi coming in, they've never been outside the bottom 2 or 3 positions the whole season, and for Yogi, it's going to be a tough one for him to come back from. He's had great success at Falkirk and Inverness, but these last couple.
I think that's what I mean by, we all know the way Yogi sees football. He's so enthusiastic about it, but he's got a certain way that he wants to play. But sometimes it's just about getting the results. I think
it's not suited to a relegation battle, is it?
No.
In the way, and when we've the top half and the bottom half of the Championship split itself. Teams like Ayr, Morton, then just found a way to play. How can we be successful? We'll get the ball forward early. We get second balls in it, and it's effective, especially in the Championship. And I don't think Dunfermline ever really done that. And then they kind of struggle to pick up points, and that's the thing. Like sometimes, if you've got aspirations to win the Championship, get out of the Championship, it doesn't matter. You don't need to be playing excellent, fast, free-flowing football. You need to be playing effective, result-driven football. And I don't think Yogi done that. And that's obviously, they got themselves relegated, and now he's out of a job.
Yeah. Before we talk about how we think it's going to go top and bottom in the English Premier League, just one little thing that I think is a concern right across the football in the United Kingdom at the moment. I watched a video of the Patrick Vieira incident where basically a fan is goading him, and Patrick Vieira reacts to it. I think the police will certainly want to have a look at it. But I think we're in a situation where Billy Sharp, the person who attacked him, has been fined, banned for 10 years from watching any football in England, and there's been a payment made to Billy Sharp as well. I think we're in dangerous ground here with fans coming onto the pitch now. I don't know how this has been allowed to happen, Tam, but certainly players, I think, will be worrying about their safety on the park.
Yeah, listen, the players and coaches' safety's got to be paramount in any game of football. You've got to feel safe when you get out on the pitch. And I spoke about it the other day, it's very difficult to police 30, 40,000. You'd need to have thousands of stewards, and that's going to cost a fortune. So I don't really know how you're going to stop it, unless you start fining clubs or deducting them points. So really, two really poor incidents. Billy Sharp's terrible, and the guy comes up and blindsides him, headbutts him, and then Patrick Vieira. Guys coming up and going. They've just stayed up. Why are you going and goading the opposition manager, Patrick Vieira? Supposedly there was another one in Morecambe against Port Vale, I think it was last night, after penalty kicks. They all come onto the pitch, and some of the Morecambe, some of the Swindon boys, were getting assaulted and getting stick for the supporters. So it's a real problem now in British football, and it's got something that's got to be really stamped out.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, do you need more police? Do you need more stewarding? Is it worth it for stewards to actually get to a point where they're on such a low wage to think, I'm going to put myself right in the firing line here?
They're not paid enough money to risk getting set up on by 10, 20, 30, however many people. I just think it's, if a club, but even when you've just survived relegation, the Premier League say to Everton, right, you start the next season, your first 5 games, no fans. And then the fans start policing each other.
Yeah.
And going, don't you run on the pitch because I want to watch your game. And now a lot of these fans, it seems to be younger fans, kind of coming on the pitch, but it's been a gradual progression, because what we've seen like kids running on for shirts, and then more and more that happens, and then all of a sudden it's now they think it's acceptable to run on the pitch.
Absolutely.
And people are different. As you can imagine, I'm quite combative. combative. Some people are not. You know, Vieira obviously is. Like, I mean, where else in the society would you be getting away with doing what that guy done to Patrick Vieira? Nowhere. You wouldn't have walked down the street on Saturday in Glasgow and did that. Of course you wouldn't. You get your hand bitten off. But they think in a football stadium they can get away with it, so it has to stop. And I think it has to be strict, and it has to be right. Your fans invaded the pitch. Next 5 games play with no fans, because I can guarantee you the good fans, the majority of fans, will start stopping, going, by the way, stop being an idiot, because you're going to get us, so we can't watch the game.
Yeah, and if you think I'm scaremongering on this, you know, fans can get into the ground with all sorts of weaponry. So it is dangerous at times, and I think you know, the authorities need to step up here and you know, put out the warning on this and start to clamp down on it. As far as the games going on, I mean, Everton have saved themselves big time with that result. I mean, I was sitting actually watching, I'm thinking, oh, 2-0 Crystal Palace, this is a nightmare. And then by the time I come back to it, I turned around to my wife and I said, Everton have won. This is amazing, brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's almost as a case that going 2-0 down, it's then all or nothing, isn't it? They've got nothing to lose. You know, they need to either they win the game, they get themselves out of that kind of battle for the last relegation spot, and fair play to them, because they managed to galvanise and come back from what would have been a terrible result, obviously. But they've now, you know, it's now between what I think is Leeds and who's the one?
Burnley,
Leeds and Burnley. So, you know, Everton are a club who should never be down there. But we say that nearly every year. Oh no, they can't get relegated. They can't. And big teams get relegated. Dunfermline from the Championship. You know, St Johnstone in the playoff. You don't expect teams to. But if you've not played well and you're in a bad run of form, any team can get dragged down there. And thankfully for Everton and their fans, they managed to just get their keep their head above the water.
Yeah, here's the fixtures in the English Premier League. It's a bit harum-scarum for the bottom end of it. Who's going to go down and join the other 2 clubs confirmed? It's Arsenal, Everton, Brentford, Leeds, Brighton, West Ham, Chelsea, Watford, Crystal Palace, Manchester United, Leicester, Southampton, Liverpool, Wolves, Man City against Aston Villa, and Norwich City against Spurs. But Tam, you and I both think Man City will win 5-0, despite the best efforts of Steven Gerrard saying to the Aston Villa players, look, it means something.
Nah, I don't think it. I think Man City will be heavily fired up. I think they'll get the early goal and then they'll win the game comfortably. Watched Aston Villa game bit of that last night against Burnley. You know, I don't think they completely chucked it for the season. You know, they played well, but Burnley could easily win that game last night. So I think that Man City win that game. I think Man City and Liverpool will both win the games comfortably, and then it'll be Liverpool into the Champions League final and Man City win the league.
Yeah, and I think it's a strange, perverse situation where I think Liverpool would love to have won the quadruple, but if you're looking at the 2 of them, Pep Guardiola were looking on thinking, I would rather be in Liverpool's position.
Yeah, I think so. You know, that's the one that's eluded him at Man City, isn't it? Is the Champions League, the opportunity to win the Champions League. And that's, you know, when you're a club like Man City and you bring in someone of his stature, that's what you're expecting. You're expecting him to win the Champions League. Yes, obviously you want to win the league titles and you want to be successful domestically, but that's the one. And I think you're right. I think in terms of the league, you'd rather be in the Man City dressing room, but in terms of the season as a whole, you'd rather be looking at the Liverpool season going, right, we've still got a chance to win the Premier League if Man City don't win it, and we do. But we've got a great chance to win a Champions League, and I think you're right. I think Liverpool just now are probably in a more favourable position, if even for the players as well. You're thinking Champions League or Premier League. Now I know it might transpire that Man City win the league and Real Madrid win the Champions League, and then Liverpool win nothing, or neither of the 2. Sorry, but yeah, I think right now I'd rather be in the Liverpool dressing room. I think.
Yeah, is that a fair comment?
Yep. I think that Man City, you know, the amount of money they've invested, you know, they're desperate to win the Champions League. But obviously not going to win it this year, and I think Pep will have one more year at Man City. I think Pep will have one more year at Man City to try and win the Champions League with Haaland, and then he'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, okay. Listen, great to chat to you guys. Great to see you safely back in the country. There was big worries that you'd be on the 32 flight route back from Seville. That I mean, I've heard so many nightmare stories from some of my mates and how they were trying to get back out of Seville. It's just incredible, the journey. But for so many of them, it will be on reflection, I think, by the time we get to the end of the Scottish Cup and maybe in the next couple of weeks, a chance with so many Rangers friends looking at each other and thinking, what a run it was. And I think that will stick with a lot of people. They might find it painful at the moment, Richard, but I think a lot of Rangers fans will look back, as Celtic fans did in Seville, and think what a run it was, special games, special victories, something that you can cherish for a lifetime until, hopefully, another Scottish club, Celtic, Rangers, others, can get to a final again, which would be amazing.
Yeah, I think you know, the Borussia Dortmund away, I've spoken about this so many times, but that's a standout game, isn't it? Now, I know they haven't won anything in the end, but it was still a fantastic achievement to get to where they got to get to the final, to put out these teams. But it's so disappointing. And as a player, you know, I don't look back on anything in my career and it was great, we got to the Scottish Cup semi-final, then we got beat for Queen in the South, because we got beat. And now I believe we'd have beat Rangers in the final, but we got beat. Now, this is nowhere near on the level of the Europa League. But at the end of the day, they lost. They never won the thing. So I don't think the fans might, because of the occasion and, you know, the trip and the travel. But I'm not too sure that the Rangers fans are looking back on it that fondly, because ultimately they failed at the end.
Yeah. Thanks very much to Richard and to Tam and to you. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. You can download the app, and that means you can watch all our programmes live on the app on your phone or on your tablet, wherever you may be. And you also get the back catalogue as well. There's lots of great stuff on there. One-to-ones, Richard's Dream Team will be up shortly, and also Charlie Adams. Tam's is already up there. You can watch that. One-to-ones, favourite matches from history with the players involved. There's so much content, and there's bigger and better things ahead at PLZ Soccer, especially on our YouTube channel. I do hope that you will support us throughout the summer, and you can join the football family all the way through to the next season as well. From Tam, from Richard, from myself, Peter, have a great weekend.